Good afternoon, and welcome to the training on writing bid specifications. Writing bid specifications can be tedious and time-consuming, but it is necessary. Providing vendors with detailed specifications is a requirement of the Child Nutrition Program. Writing quality specifications for your bids is important because they serve as quality and cost control standards for the SFA. They help avoid misunderstandings between suppliers, buyers, and users by detailing exactly what is being requested. They are essential when a district is seeking price quotes for both formal and informal procurement. The SFA needs to communicate all characteristics of the item it wants to purchase to prospective vendors. They help vendors understand exactly what you want to purchase so a competitive price can be quoted, and helps ensure that when you receive the price quotes, you are comparing apples to apples. The SFA doesn't want one vendor quoting broccoli florets and another quoting broccoli cuts. The menu is the driving force when writing bid specifications. Menus must, of course, meet all federal guidelines and be appealing to the customer. It is good practice for districts to use a cycle menu for a designated period of time. Menus created by seasons allow for the opportunity to incorporate in-season options. Planning menus in advance saves time, helps avoid repetitive tasks, reduce labor, and implements cost-effective inventory management. The process that's used for developing bid specifications are developing a cycle menu, creating standardized recipes, or finding recipes that have already been standardized using CMP standards, evaluate the quality and customer acceptance of current items, research the market for new items you might want to use, request a description of the product from the manufacturer, taste test with your customers, and then write the bid specifications. It is a good idea to conduct a screening of products that you may want to include on your menus. Screening products allows you to provide a list of pre-approved equal product brands to use when writing bid specifications. Some schools may find that their customers prefer certain brands, which in turn increases the number of meals served. The SFA needs to limit the use of brand specifications to items where the brand really does make a difference in acceptability and participation. One food item that comes to mind is pizza. SFA directors report that students prefer one brand of pizza over others. If the decision is made to use a brand name specification, the SFA should have written justification that supports the brand, including or pre-approved equal gives prospective vendors the opportunity to present their products to the SFA for consideration. The menu and standardized recipe will help to determine the type of product to purchase. Product categories include distributor's choice label, private label, and manufacturer's brand label. Review all of the categories to determine which label fits your needs. For example, the SFA would not need to purchase the top quality labeled green bean to prepare a green bean casserole. The distributor's choice category of products has only one or a few ingredients and represents a lower dollar volume. The supplier may quote a price on any brand, and the school district places no restrictions on the brands to be purchased. The supplier is not asked to identify the brand being quoted, and the site receiver does not check the brand delivered. Therefore, the distributor may change the brand without notifying the school district. The only requirement is that the product is in the pack and case size identified on the solicitation document. A case of green beans containing 12 number 303 cans cannot be substituted if the specification calls for 6 number 10 cans, and a 50-pound bag of sugar cannot be substituted with 2 25-pound bags of sugar. You may want to consider moving as many products as possible to distributor's choice because it reduces the time needed to develop detailed bid specifications. Some examples include staple ingredients and spices. Private label products are packed under industry acceptable standards. The private label represents the supplier's brand. Many distributors have their own private label brand and prefer to sell it instead of brand name items. Again, although the supplier would choose the brand, it still must conform to the specifications. It's a good idea to taste the private label brands to ensure that it meets your expectations. Some examples include canned fruits and vegetables, as well as frozen vegetables. Manufacturer brands are recognized by name and generally attract customers who are loyal to their name. Manufacturer brand products are usually main entrees, contain multiple ingredients, and are processed. Your objective is to have the product available each time it's on the menu. This is what increases your participation and keeps customers returning. These products are subject to tremendous variation in quality among brands. As food becomes more complex and processed, more effort has to be devoted to quality control. Some examples of these items where a manufacturer's brand would be used are pizzas and chicken nuggets and whole grain French toast. So what should be included in a bid specification? A product specification is a concise statement that includes the requirements to be satisfied by a product, material, and/or process. It is important to develop specifications that do not restrict competition. Specifying a brand name only product instead of allowing a pre-approved equal product to be offered restricts free and open competition. Writing specifications can be difficult and time-consuming because the descriptions are often long and very detailed. But in some cases, the specification can be limited to only those characteristics that are essential for communicating with the supplier, such as the standard of identity, quality, grade, and size. Most single ingredients foods, such as fresh produce, often only need a brief specification. Remember to use common language of the industry when developing the product specification. It is important to provide a clear product description. The clearer the specification, the more likely you will receive the product you are requesting. There are multiple items that need to be included in the bid specification to ensure prospective vendors are bidding on the product you desire. Please refer to the link on the slide for the Procurement in the 21st Century, where you can find more information about product specification. You should include the name of the product, a description of the product, the case pack and weight, the minimum and maximum size of the product and pieces if applicable, and the main ingredient. Other items to be included in the bid specification are other product ingredients, prohibited ingredients, nutritional standards, unit on which the award is made, and other quality indicators. The product name would seem self-explanatory, but it is not always. Make sure you know what you are asking for. Let's use apples as an example. What kind of apple do you want? There are all kinds of apples as you can see listed on this slide, and these are just a few, but there are many more. The Choice Plus reference guide can be used to review the popular varieties of apples. While this manual was very old, this version is actually from 1996, it can be extremely helpful when trying to write product specification. I'll put a link on this slide at the bottom to use for your reference. A vendor will need a description of the product. The product description should include the type, the cut and shape, the portion size, the pre-cooked weight, whether it's going to be frozen, fresh, or dry. In the case of a chicken patty, what type of chicken patty is it? Is it spicy, southern, breaded, or grilled? Are they pre-cooked, or is it and just need to be reheated, or do they come raw? Do they come to you frozen? If a brand name is specified, then you must allow an equal product to be substituted to ensure maximum free and open competition. If you are specifying a brand, you should also include the manufacturer's name, the manufacturer's name for the product, the manufacturer's code, and the manufacturer's pack size. This will allow all vendors to bid apples to apples with the product they sell. Remember that you can state in the bid specification that only pre-approved equals are allowed. Never let a vendor determine what is considered an equal product. Their determination of equal may not be the same as yours. You may even want to have the prospective vendor submit a large enough sample that you can do a taste test with some of your students. You can also conduct product screenings to create a list of pre-approved equal product brands in the bid's solicitation documents. Case pack and weight. How should the item be packaged and how big are the cases? This can be as simple as 6 number 10 cans or 4 or 5 pound bags, or the case cannot exceed 25 pounds. Some other example descriptions may include individually wrapped, 48 to the case, 72 to the case, or 96 to the case. Describe the minimum and maximum size of the product you would be willing to accept. An example may include each serving must weigh a minimum of 3.9 ounces and cannot exceed 4.1 ounces. So what are the main ingredients for the product you're looking to purchase? Products may have a lot of ingredients, but everything always has a primary ingredient, and oftentimes that ingredient has a quality indicator. Some possible examples may include beef, pinto beans, and whole muscle white chicken breast. A quality indicator example could be the whole muscle white chicken meat versus natural proportioned chicken meat, which would include both white and dark meat. You also want to describe what other ingredients can be included in the product, such as whole grain pasta, whole wheat flour, soy proteins, spices, and vegetable purees. If you don't specifically list an ingredient, you should not expect it to be in the product ingredients. Be careful also of being too specific, as you may not find a product that meets your specification. Are there any ingredients that are prohibited? When creating a specification, indicate what ingredients are prohibited in the product, such as food additives, artificial coloring or flavors, trans fats, and MSG. Also, specific allergens such as dairy, wheat, soy, eggs, peanuts, fish, and shellfish. The nutrition standards are the minimum or maximum nutrient or ingredient requirements or limitations. For example, your product specification might state that one 3.4-ounce fully cooked whole grain breaded white meat chicken patty must provide 2 ounces equivalent meat alternate and 1 ounce equivalent grains for the child nutrition meal pattern requirements. Regardless of what you specify, products must meet CN meal pattern requirements to be claimed for meal reimbursement. Make sure that you specify when you need documentation that proves the product meets the CN meal pattern requirement, including a CN label and a product formulation statement. So how will the SFA determine which company is offering the best price for an acceptable product? How will the unit price be determined for an acceptable product? Should this prospective vendor provide their price based on the case price, the serving size, or the pound? Be careful when allowing weight ranges, as this could lead you to awarding an item to a vendor that does not always have the lowest price. Let's look at a weight range of a 3.9 to 4.1 ounce portion of chicken nuggets. In this example, vendor B has a lower case price, but their portion price is actually higher. If the SFA states that they will be awarding by the 30-pound case and choose vendor B because the case price is cheaper, they would not be awarding the vendor with the lowest portion price. Include quality indicators in your specification. Some food items are very basic and are either defined by their single ingredient or by their standard of identity. Standards of identity are a mandatory set of requirements related to the nature, composition, and essential characteristics of a food that must be met in order to be marketed under that specific name. The FDA describes standard of identity as being used to promote honesty and fair dealing in the interest of consumers. An example of a food with a standard of identity is cheddar cheese. The Code of Federal Regulations requires that food products meet very specific criteria in order to be called cheddar cheese. Part of the description is listed on this slide, but it must meet numerous other criteria. The bottom line is, if you are purchasing cheddar cheese, you know that it must meet specific quality standards to bear that name. Grade standards are USDA quality standards and are based on measurable attributes that describe the value and utility of the product. U.S. grade standards provide a uniform language for describing the quality and condition for meat, poultry, fresh fruits and vegetables, and processed fruits and vegetables. While safety inspections are mandatory, the federal government does not require that all food products are graded. Know your grade. Produce is graded based on the amount of imperfections that is allowed. It is up to you to determine what you are willing to accept. If you order bananas, for example, there are varying stages of ripeness. In stages 1 to 3, you will be receiving a fairly green banana. If it is in stage 3 to 6, it will be green tipped, and a 7+ will be ripe. Refer to the link to the USDA Agricultural Marketing Service on the bottom of the slide for more information about grades and standards of products. Many food processors participate in grading voluntarily because their customers list grade requirements in their specifications. Grade standards such as USDA Prime and USDA Choice are based on the product's taste, texture, and appearance. If you look on the USDA Agricultural Marketing Services standards for U.S. Grade A and Grade B canned peaches, the definition of Grade A and Grade B peaches have identical characteristics. As you can see from this slide, the wording is exactly the same. I've posted a link to the USDA Agricultural Marketing Service on the bottom of the slide for your reference. According to the information from procurement in the 21st century, Grade A fruits are carefully selected for color, tenderness, and freedom from blemishes. They are the most tender, succulent, and flavorful fruits produced. Grade B fruits are excellent quality, but not quite so well selected for color and tenderness as Grade A. They are usually slightly more mature and therefore have a slightly different taste than the more succulent fruits in Grade A. In another section of the AMS, the definition of Grade A peaches includes that they must be practically free from defects and reasonably good color, reasonably uniform in size and symmetry. They must score 90 points in the scoring system used by USDA. Grade B peaches must be reasonably free from defects. Grade B peaches may include mixed pieces of irregular shapes and sizes. They must score 80 points on the scoring system used by USDA. Practically versus reasonably. Based on this information, the question is it worth it to pay the additional costs of grade A peaches versus grade B peaches? Before you make the decision on which one to use, you're going to have to look at these products side by side to compare. When preparing bid solicitations for agricultural products such as meats, grains, fruits, and vegetables, the SFA must include the Buy American provision as a requirement. This provision requires that a school food authority, to the maximum extent practicable, purchase domestic commodities or products. The term domestic commodity or product means an agricultural commodity that is produced in the United States or a food product that is processed in the United States substantially using agricultural commodities that are produced in the United States. Refer to the link on the slide for a Buy American fact sheet. Let's look at a couple of examples. I need to purchase apples to be served in my schools. I will be using red delicious apples. I have to decide what size I plan to use. The Choice Plus reference guide assists me in seeing what sizes are available. The food buying guide can be used to determine what size to purchase for the serving size I plan to serve. Please refer to the links on the slide to the Choice Plus reference guide and the food buying guide for more information. After referring to the food buying guide, I know that both the 125 count and the 138 count apples will provide a 1-cup serving. So I'm going to use a range and allow vendors to bid on either. However, some vendors carry both a 125 count and a 138 count, so it's going to dictate how the vendors should quote the apples. In this case, as in the same as the chicken nuggets we looked at, having prospective vendors quote per case will not provide an accurate portion cost, so I may decide to have them quote the portion price. The Choice Plus reference guide will also tell me what size each apple should be, so if I feel like in the past I have not gotten the correct apple size, I can look here and see that the 138 count apple should be 2 3/4 inches in diameter, and a 125 count apple should be 2 7/8 inches in diameter. Next, I have to determine what grade of Red Delicious apples I plan to use. Of course, US Extra Fancy is the highest quality, but it's going to be more expensive than US Fancy. After reviewing the characteristics of both on the AMS website, I determined that US Fancy is a quality product and that the grade of that product we will use. An easy way to determine what quantity of apples will be needed is to request a velocity report from the present vendor. A velocity report will show the quantity of an item purchased over last year and the best tool for determining your future needs. You want to make sure that you are giving prospective vendors accurate information about your usage. If prospective vendors are confident that the items specified on the bid and the quantities listed are accurate, then they are willing to provide their most competitive pricing. Be careful not to overforecast. Overforecasting can result in increased prices if the vendor feels the information provided is not accurate. Studies have shown that the SFAs get better pricing when prospective vendors can trust that you will use the approximate amount that was forecasted. Here is the completed bid specification. I know some of you are thinking this can be tedious and very time consuming, but remember that you only have to do it once and it can be reused year after year if you are happy with your choices. Also, when beginning to write bid specification, Spend your time writing detailed specifications for the products where you spend the most money and the items that have the most impact on the quality of the meal. Most districts may also share their bid specifications with you for you to review and change as needed. Let's look at another example. I want to purchase 2-ounce whole grain bagels. I need to specify whether I want them to be bulk pack or individually wrapped. If I'm doing a grab and go breakfast, I may want them individually wrapped. I like Lender's bagels because they are soft and the students really like them. They have a white whole grain bagel, so the students don't realize that it's whole grain. I'm going to state in my product specifications that the vendor is to quote a Lender's white whole grain bagel or a pre-approved equal. Remember, a pre-approved equal means that the vendor must submit to the SFA and the SFA must approve the use of another brand of bagel before the stated date put in the bid specifications. I know that this product is bulk and has 72 2-ounce bagels to the case. I would state that under the case pack, be sure to include the Buy American provision because grain is an agricultural product. The main ingredient in the product must be whole grain flour. I am estimating my usage to be 480 cases for the coming year, and I want each vendor to bid on the price per case. Remember that specifications do not only apply to food. You will use specifications to purchase office supplies, kitchen equipment, cleaning supplies, security systems, marketing materials, and even phone plans. If specifications have been written correctly, it will result in fair and equitable treatment of vendors. The SFA gets what they need. Time spent doing procurement is minimized throughout the process. The SFA receives the best price or value, and all of this increases customer satisfaction. Do make sure that you provide ample time for vendors to submit bids. While the minimum time required between the first advertisement and the bid opening is 15 days, busy vendors may not be able to prepare bids with that short period of time. This may cause some vendors to choose not to bid. So give them as much time as possible to ensure you are able to get their best price. If you have any questions, please contact the Department of Education Division of Nutrition Support at 225-342-9661 or email us at childnutritionprograms@la.gov. Thank you and have a great afternoon. I will check to see if we have any questions in the chat box and I'll be right back. At this time, I'm not seeing any questions. So again, if you have any questions, you can call us at 225-342-9661 or email us at childnutritionprograms@la.gov. Thank you.